Good evening and welcome to the Grafton Board of Health January 13th, 2020 meeting.
I'd like to make a motion to open the meeting.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, Alliance
All right, a
update.
couple things to highlight
Copy
this
from
month.
Nancy.
I know, Nancy's making me copies. So a couple things to highlight. One, we have next Wednesday, the 15th, we have our quarterly Alliance meeting. So for anyone, thank you. For anyone who is available, we would love to have you. The topics of this meeting are going to focus on the Coalition for Healthy Greater Worcester, which all of you in the town is a part of, as well as the community health assessment that was completed last year and the planning of the 2020 Community Health Improvement Plan. So we would love for anyone who's available to attend the meeting. There will be a lot going on this winter and spring in terms of planning for the next Community Health Improvement Plan. We'll be looking to do focus groups, surveys in the town to really get an idea of priorities and what should really be focused on in the next Community Health Improvement Plan. So that will be a part of the meeting. It's from 12:30 to 2 like usual. It's going to be at the Shrewsbury Town Hall this time. So all are welcome on the 15th for that. In addition to that, as you know, you always do the Regional Youth Health Survey, which was great every year. I believe Karen emailed out just snapshots of the data from the Youth Health Survey for all of you, and really the importance of that data. A lot of the grants that we seek, or that any of you in town, your school department, or anyone else in town, if they were looking for grant opportunities, typically funders really rely on you providing data to justify why you're going after what you are. So it's a great asset to have the data from the youth health assessments for that. I know that the Shrewsbury Youth and Family Services, their network is actually not just Shrewsbury. They also provide services in Grafton. They've expanded to several other towns, and they have funding for, and this could be in here, but I'm not positive. They have funding for vaping and doing a lot more in terms of vaping education, cessation. So that's something that will be coming out through them in partnership with, I'm sure, the Coalition for Healthy Grafton as well. So more to come on that. There have been a lot of changes to the tobacco in terms of what is going on statewide and federally. So as you may recall, we did have a vaping ban that was in effect for probably mid-September to mid-November-ish. Since that has ended, and I'm just going to get my cheat sheet because I never recall the exact sequence of this. So as of November 27th, there was a ban on all flavored vape products. So at this time, statewide, you cannot purchase flavored vaping products in the state of Massachusetts. You can, depending on the town, you can purchase or continue to purchase flavored tobacco products unless you are in a town that has already passed a local regulation restricting it. Of the towns that have passed a local regulation to restrict it, most of them have excluded mint and menthol, except for a couple. Somerville's an example of a city that included mint and menthol. They're currently getting sued. So there are some municipalities that took it upon themselves to adopt a local regulation for flavor restriction that included mint and menthol. Otherwise, any flavor restrictions in the state exempted mint and menthol. However, come June 1st of 2020, there will be a statewide exemption on all flavored tobacco products, including mint and menthol.
Exemption or
Restriction, I'm
restriction.
sorry, or ban, I should
Ban,
say,
yeah.
really a ban. So come June 1st in the state of Massachusetts, nobody can sell flavored tobacco products or vaping products, although that already went into effect, including mint and menthol,
Okay.
with one exemption: smoking bars. So if you are a 21 plus smoking bar, you can sell flavored tobacco products to be smoked, and you can smoke flavored tobacco products at your smoking bar.
Okay.
I don't know off the top of my head if you have any smoking bars in town.
Grafton, no.
I didn't think so. You may find, thank you, Nancy. You may find, we have found it in Worcester that we have had probably at this point a dozen people come in looking to see how you can open a smoking bar. So you may see an uptick in that unless you already have a restriction in your local regulation. So some towns actually
I have to go back and.
ban smoking bars altogether. And I can have Joshin check it out for you as well. So that would be the only exemption, is if you are a smoking bar. Any questions on that? So, in terms of compliance with this, Joshin, when she does her tobacco inspections, Joshin will certainly be ensuring, right now, if you had any vape shops in town, that they're not selling flavored. But then, as we get closer to June 1st, part of Joshin's retailer education when she comes in to do inspections in town will be to ensure that everyone is aware that come June 1st, all flavored products have to be off the shelves. Any questions with that? No. Okay. All right.
Is that the email she sent out?
It could be. We've sent out a couple emails regarding it.
Just got one like last week, Friday or Thursday.
It could be. It could be. All right. Thank you so much. All right, a couple other quick things to highlight for you is I just wanted to bring up nursing. So continuing with the blood pressure clinics at both the Housing Authority and the Senior Center. The flu clinic and the Shingrix clinics records through 2019 have been transferred to the Board of Health office for storage, so you should have all that now on hand. Flu season is underway, and we are certainly continuing to encourage everybody to get their flu shot. I'm trying to think, you always have the educational stuff on the website, that's never, anything else that anyone saw that you have questions for more information about? Hmm? I did them both at the same time.
And then the feds upped the age to 21.
Yes, and then, so in December, federally, they signed to raise the age for all tobacco purchases to age 21, effective immediately.
Was that tobacco and vaping, or just tobacco?
So that's actually a great question.
Trying to remember when I saw it actually come out on the news.
I'm not sure. I'll have to look back in Joshin's email if it's tobacco and vaping or not. I'm not positive.
I thought it was both.
I'm hoping it's both, because typically a lot of
Logically,
the,
you would think it
a
would
lot
be
of
both.
the language moving forward is like
Is-
nicotine delivery product, you're right, or things like that, but I can have Joshin check, and I'll look back to see the language that she sent out.
Yeah, according to this articles
It
that I'm
is.
finding, it's tobacco and vaping.
Okay. Oh, the other thing
Yeah,
that I will
e-cigs.
mention is that if you recall from maybe the spring or over the summer, we talked about the state has developed a state and a local and regional public health advisory committee. So they've coming out statewide. They formed a committee to come out with essentially recommendations of the minimum requirements for all health departments, right? What should it be in terms of how you're structured, what credentials staff have, workforce development, regionalization's a big part of it, although they call it now shared services, not regionalization. And so then they developed this local and regional public health advisory committee, which essentially was looking for locals in the public health sector to get together to help really form a plan of, okay, well, how are we going to implement some of these recommendations? So over the summer, maybe it was in the fall, emails had gone out that anyone could apply, anyone that worked for a health department, sat on a board of health. And so Karen and Phil applied and both got accepted. So they will both be on this advisory committee, which is great. And then in addition to that, Kevin Mizikar, who's the town manager in Shrewsbury, he's on the statewide committee that came up with these recommendations to begin with. So we'll have some good representation from the Alliance on there. Any other questions for me? You should have also gotten from Pat the communicable disease. So if you have any questions, either now or when you look at it after, let me know, and I can pass along any questions you have to Pat.
Interesting, so all the Lyme cases are suspect, not confirmed.
Yeah, that's hard to prove. It's still hard to prove.
I know, it's hard
that,
to prove.
Even with a blood test.
Yeah.
Negative.
What?
I'm wondering if that's actually, treated with doxycycline or something and resolved as opposed to.
Or you never had it in the first place.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, the tests out there right now are not the greatest
Right. Not
tests
conclusive.
in the world.
What did I hear about the flu, that it's not very effective this year, the flu vaccine?
I forget what they're saying that the coverage
Yeah.
is.
It seems to be a strain that's more towards children and stuff this year
They're
too.
saying, yeah.
And
that
I
it's-
think they said we're seeing a lot of, Pat had this in here, activities being caused mostly by influenza B, Victoria viruses, which is unusual.
Unusual,
It
yeah.
is. I had read that.
And
It's
H1N1,
odd.
H1N1 viruses are the next most common and are increasing in proportion relative to other influenza viruses in some regions.
Anyone? No? Okay.
Yeah, all set?
All right, and then I guess lastly is the monthly inspection report. If anyone has any questions on the inspections done, the month of December.
That,
Well, that we
I
did.
don't
Oh,
think
do I
we
have to-
got,
I think we got it electronically, but.
I just sent it to
okay,
Okay.
yep.
Yeah.
So if anyone has any questions, let me know, or certainly Nancy knows how to get in touch with Phil and Julie and the team, so.
I'm having trouble with number 20
Which one's?
on the list.
We don't have. the-
Oh, no, here.
Oh,
Oh. Uh-huh.
Re-inspection required. Is that scheduled, do you think, the re-inspection?
I can ask, I don't know if they've scheduled it yet.
A couple of re-inspections.
Okay.
And the next one will be here or, fine, before the board will sign.
okay.
Consistent, that happens a lot, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
If you look number 1 also.
Yeah, that
Right,
too.
right,
Which is new, I mean, which
Not
isn't new.
right.
All right.
Thank you, Colleen.
You're welcome. Do you need me for anything else? Do you want me to stay for the EDS? Are you guys good, or?
Yeah, maybe,
EDS was on there.
yeah,
EDS
sure.
was on there.
If you want to stay for a few minutes, I guess we're going to run
Yeah, we
through.
can do that first before the meetings.
Sure.
It's up to you. You don't need to take it out of order.
I mean, it's just that or the meeting schedule.
Oh, okay.
It's not like we have a large audience that we're
Yeah,
going to
that-
jump over.
I am gonna have to excuse myself in a couple minutes to go to my son's concert, though.
Sure.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yes. You have to call it a holiday concert.
A holiday
Holiday
concert.
concert,
I'm definitely in the mood to hear Jingle Bells.
Well, it's cold again.
70 degrees yesterday.
I'd like to applaud Debbie's leadership for the drill and thank her
Definitely.
for
Debbie.
stepping up.
We had 22 people
Yep.
volunteer.
Wow,
Yeah.
that's wonderful.
Good group.
It was a good,
Yeah.
it was a good
Nice,
group.
diverse
Yeah, good
too,
sized
yeah.
group,
That's
yeah.
great.
Yeah.
I don't know if you have any recap you want to give.
Well, we were all there.
Yeah, I
Right.
think we were gonna talk, like, in the February one, we wanted to have maybe like Mary Ann and stuff.
Yeah.
Do like a deeper dive recap, but just,
Oh,
this
okay.
was more of like a higher level, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we did have 22 people. We did have Nick Childs, who is the emergency management director now.
Okay.
He was there. He was basically, he said he was there for observation. He did have a lot of good comments. And one of them, he did email me yesterday and said that with his funds, he is going to see about purchasing us a dolly to put the cones on. You know how you stick all the cones on a dolly, and so he was gonna actually look into purchasing two, one for the GMA trailer and one for the MRC trailer, to prevent back injuries.
Okay.
You may want to mention to him, if you get back to him, just recently I saw a collapsible dolly, which is quite sturdy, but it also just folds up somehow so it can be hung on a wall, or it's for storage reasons.
Oh,
Yeah,
It looked pretty
probably
neat.
take less space up.
Yeah.
probably,
it looked
okay.
pretty neat.
Yeah, so he was going to use some of his funds, and asked if we would be interested. I said, of course we would. Why wouldn't
Yeah,
we?
why wouldn't
The
I don't
one
know,
thing
any other
that confused me, or not confused me, that concerns me, I should say, is the actual lack of registered volunteers. The whole idea of having to be like ready in the event. I mean,
that many people?
we're talking about
Over 2 shifts.
240 people
Yeah.
or something. Well, for that, normal civilians about, yeah, like, so.
Yeah.
I was
So-
wondering if there's some way, like maybe at these like Grafton Night Out sort of thing, maybe that's a place to drum up some people to like, for volunteers, or I don't know where, just like, hey, in case of emergency, would you be willing to help out?
So they all have to go through the,
Yeah,
the
that's the
core,
That's what I
that's
mean,
the
like, I
Cory
wonder
check,
if
yeah.
there's some spot
it's
where we
not-
could say.
So then we briefly talked about that on Saturday. What would we do if we did not have enough volunteers?
Right.
Because we talked about not wanting to use spontaneous volunteers. And a comment that was made was anybody that works in the town,
Right,
municipal building, DPW, anybody, schools, all of them have already been Cory checked for the town. So those would be potential additional volunteers. So that made us feel better.
yeah,
But you'd have to kind of like, besides, yes, they're Cory, but you have to, kind of try to persuade them to want to volunteer
Volunteer.
should the time actually come.
Some towns, and I could get you more information, or I could have Alyssa or Katrina, who I think Katrina was there on Saturday.
Katrina and Sarah, yep.
To get you more information, I have heard of some towns that actually work with human resources, and it's not as much a volunteer thing as a, hey, you're a town employee, and there are certain instances that are considered emergencies. And when you look at Grafton's not the only town. When you look at your town population and you look at the number of people you need to get through per hour, and you look at the number of volunteers, and then you think about the medical reserve corps and CERT teams are great. However, those people are going to also want it for themselves, and they need to take care of their families. And if it's a MRC, and all the MRCs are the same in terms of, it's not just for that town
right.
usually, right? It's shared through many towns. And so it's pretty scary if you really had to, in 48 hours, do your entire population. And so I have heard of towns that work it into job descriptions or town policy that, at certain thresholds of an emergency.
Right, that you may be asked to step up.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
it's
Well, I also
not a
think Josh,
volunteer thing.
Josh has a good point that it should be a focus at one of the community
I
events.
think
to
people
have-
would sign up if they knew they,
to have certs,
Like,
certs
so-
say this is, hopefully doesn't happen, but we'd like a list of people that are available.
Right.
So they
Yeah.
could make it, I think, a focus of theirs.
Most of the people, even if they're outside of working in town, most of the population doesn't have an issue probably with getting like a Cory check.
Right. But the problem is,
You just
if you
have to
show
know.
up the day of, and you're like,
Right.
you
yeah.
send me
Yeah.
home,
Usually, yeah.
I would have helped, but I can't because I didn't get a Cory check.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm sorry to run, guys.
Well, have fun.
Thank you. I'll be dicking the halls.
Any other concerns or, I'm sure we'll get the write-up afterwards anyways.
Sarah will
but-
send an after.
Yeah, she will,
report,
yep.
Or Katrina, one of them will
One
send
of
you the
them,
after
Sarah
action
will, yep.
report. And definitely keep that in mind for purchases. If there are other things besides the dollies that may be beneficial, we can always, through our Public Health Emergency Preparedness Coalition funding, you can always put in a request for some type of equipment. Typically, as long as there's funding and it supports your EDS operations, typically you're awarded it. Depending on the timeline, it may be feasible for this grant year. Otherwise, you could get, in line to have it for next grant year starting July 1. But that's always an option. And having an after-action report to justify
it, yep.
why you would need something is always very
Yeah,
helpful.
and we used all those cones we just got those cones
Oh, good.
recently,
Okay.
not, in the fall maybe? We just got those
Good,
cones, so that
okay.
worked out perfect.
Good.
Yep.
Good.
Yeah, I thought it was great.
Yeah.
There's also funding that pops up if a town wants to do a town-specific, like, emergency dispensing site tabletop exercise. So if you wanted to get, players from all your town departments, right? Town manager's office, police department, fire department, school department, DPW, kind of all the big players around the table. We have had towns that have put in requests for funding before to have a tabletop exercise for their town. We work with a vendor that will come in and facilitate it for you. And he's done several of them throughout the region, and we've had good feedback. So if that's something, again, it may be too late for this grant year, but something that you could do, summer or fall before the next actual setup
Right.
Right.
drill. That's always an option too.
It's a good idea.
And then one of the other things that they brought up was not to duplicate supplies, because a lot of the supplies we were bringing or had on our list, they said the school has all that. So you just have to work with the,
Right,
you
to
know,
see what they
so
already have
what they
there.
already have, like
Okay.
so many of, things.
Right.
The school already has. Like when we dragged out a wheelchair, they said, the school has wheelchairs
the
already.
nurse's office has
Right,
a nurse's
so
Hopefully has a
Right,
wheelchair.
right.
right. So when they started talking about that, easels and because that was one of the things
Right.
the school has all
Right.
that. So it's just a matter of finding out what the school has and being able to utilize that in an emergency situation. So again, working with the schools, there was no representation from the school other than the custodian who
Okay, who opened
helped
the
us. Yeah. He was very helpful. But there was nobody from fire department really.
No.
We had police.
So we had
Yep.
police.
Yep.
DPW? No, no.
Okay.
So,
So if you were interested in a tabletop, that could be, I can't guarantee there'd be funding, but that could be an option this year or next to put in a request for that.
What would the
and
funding be used for?
So essentially, the funding for that would be for the facilitator to come in and do the tabletop exercise. But
with you.
you could be intentional in terms of like the invitations that go out, right, to target certain departments, right? The fire department, we really need your, upfront, we really need your input to make sure that there's no, I'm making some fire code violations, or
Right,
that
yep.
there's enough like entrances and
Exits.
egresses along the route.
Yeah, yeah.
I don't know
yeah,
exactly,
Especially if
right,
you're
right.
picturing 600 people
Right,
an hour
right, something
flowing
like
through the
that.
school.
The police department, crowd control.
Yeah.
You know, if you've
Traffic,
watched like
whatever.
the
Traffic,
World
yep.
War Z movie,
Yeah, or
like movies like-
Contagion or
right,
something.
that if
Yeah.
there really was something. I mean, when we in the city, we had our first H1N1 clinic. We had a line that started at 6 a.m. for the clinic that started at 3 in the afternoon.
Wow.
And we had thousands of people that lined up at our senior center Police was really key to ensuring that it just was orderly and that we got people in and out safely. Or DPW parking, right? Traffic
Trash
flow,
Traffic control, yeah.
trash removal.
Yeah, that was
all
another
those
thing, trash
things.
removal that we were.
So, you know, we can be a little creative in terms of even targeting the invitation to the specific departments, right? The schools, you know, one, it's your students will be a part of it. It's your building, you know what just to really, so that they can really see, oh yeah, I do want to make sure that, I don't know, there's no fire code violations or that, whatever it is. And this, we've talked to another town in the Alliance that, has had similar experiences that we've talked about the same thing in terms of kind of that targeting that message to make it personalized to the department so they really understand why it's so important ahead of time that they participate and not that day. If it actually were to happen, knock on wood, that never happens, but you never know. Even as something on a smaller scale like H1N1, it's still in those beginning weeks and months, there was fear, right?
Yeah.
People were fearful. The vaccine, if you recall in the beginning, was restricted to certain populations, right? Which made people even more nervous because if you didn't fall in one of those populations, right? There weren't a lot of clinics because it was a slow rollout of the vaccine and people were nervous. And it was certainly a smaller scale than if we had some huge thing where everybody needed it, but you still had some of those elements, and that obviously doesn't happen every year with the regular flu season, but it pops up every once in a while.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that would be good to find a way to let leaders or folks in these other departments realize that they are needed and their input is needed, and
I mean,
we need some representation.
one very important person or office that typically isn't included or doesn't usually attend, just from my experience in the last 10 years, not only in like emergency dispensing site exercises, but like in different hospital exercises, is your finance people. I had after a real live situation, there was a snowstorm or a pattern of snowstorms, a state of emergency was called, hospitals could submit for reimbursement, and I got a call from the emergency preparedness coordinator at this particular hospital in Central Mass, and she said, my finance person just came to me and said, okay, I need like all of your receipts and your logs of all of your expenses. And she said, I didn't do that. I didn't know I was supposed to. And the finance person just assumed, right? So up front, it's important to have someone that's logging times and payroll and overtime and what you're purchasing and what you're, so that's always like that bonus person or office if you can get. It's an interesting element that.
In watching the 12-hour shifts, I think that's actually a state mandate that a person's not supposed to work more than 12 hours, but, and then even somebody just keeping an eye on.
Yeah,
the
we would
time.
need a volunteer coordinator that was coordinating to track people.
Yeah.
Yep, in and out
then
and
if
sign
they
them in.
were- If they were town employees, right, and they're technically working, right,
Yeah, it's a
eh,
whole
but
nother
it's
level.
off hours, it's the
Right,
weekend,
yep.
it's nights, it's whatever. That then is another layer of, well, how do you track that? And are you paying people overtime? Are you giving them days off later? Are you, right, how does that all work? It's just another layer.
We did have somebody that is on disability committee, is that what they call it?
Okay.
That was there, which
Oh,
was
that's always
another,
great, yeah.
that was another, yep. So,
Okay,
All right.
thanks, Colin.
thank you.
All right, you're
Thank
welcome.
you. April, May, June meetings.
Calendar.
All right, so the March is March 9th.
All right, I know I won't be here March 9th.
The next meeting is February 10th, then we have March 9th. So no Deb on March 9th, so then if we do a month apart, that's April 6th.
Okay.
The 13th is the next option, it's the day after Easter.
Either of those are good for me.
Is that school vacation week too?
I don't, you're asking the wrong
No, I know,
person.
I'm just thinking, anyone that's got, well, none of
Yeah.
us.
Either one is okay.
Either one is okay.
Yeah.
Yep.
Do you want to do April
April
6th?
6th?
Because it's
Yep.
1 month. All right. So then it would be May 4th would be a month.
Yep.
If that works for folks.
So it's close to that Cinco de Mayo. But-
No early celebrating.
But yeah, that looks
May
okay.
4th?
Sure.
Okay. And then that would make it June 1st, or do we want to bump to the 8th because there's
Probably be
5 Mondays in June?
I'd say the 8th.
I'd say the 8th.
All right, so April 6th, May 4th, June 8th.
That's probably good for now.
Yep.
Yeah. All right, let the signing party begin.
All right. I do have my emergency dispensing site drill and all my papers that I can leave with somebody.
With Nancy for now.
Okay.
It may fall in the basket.
All right, first we have Christopher Eatree, Earthworks. Disposal installers permit. Oh, Chris Eatree, the same Chris Eatree that was on TV? Good for him.
Right, the hero.
Must be.
See, on that one, I'm still having trouble with my computer.
Yeah, you were supposed to have it January. Before January was what I had gotten the response for. 2020.
Oh, okay.
Next I have
I still have the
Longs.
email.
Let's see if I can find a
I
paper
should
clip.
take that back only because it's, I'm starting food. This is not food. These are all food.
Okay.
Post office pub.
Gained a couple more.
I'm assuming the workman's comp is coming, I know a lot of them expire on 1/1.
Nancy, do you happen to know when the next opportunity for CPR, AED training would be? Probably not till June or something.
From the Board of Health, from us,
Well, yeah, from anybody in town. Maybe
MRC provide that?
MRC might have. it.
MRC, she may be.
MRC, she may be doing some. Stephanie's Daily Grind. I see, yep. Bushel and Peck. I like how these places have 22 seats. If you have more than 24, you have to have somebody CPR certified there. Next, Grafton Grill. Pearl Cafe. Buggy Whip. New Fancy Pizza.
They're supposed to put their menu, right?
Yep, yep. Jubilee Chocolate, Jody Martin. Nancy, did you ever get a list of what is in the Gma trailer? Because I never got one from Claire or Pam.
Claire had given me what she could remember.
Verbally, yes, I wrote that down, yep,
That's all I have.
okay. Grafton Job Corps. Cancun's. Cummings School of Veterinary Medicine at Tufts. Is this a old one and a new one? Must be.
Oh, yeah.
Page didn't print, so when he came in, he signed it. Is that what you're looking at?
No, why do we have an old,
Yeah, they have a page that we don't think they need.
yeah,
They have a brand-new certificate of liability. insurance.
Liability.
got one from 18. Baptist Church. It's the food folder.
There's more, yeah,
That's not food.
that one we signed, there's more foods there, I think.
Yep.
Yeah.
Actually, I'll give this to you.
Pub 122. They having work done at 122?
There was something that was going on.
Yeah, it looks like they're this is,
They needed to get all that done in order for them to get their 106 from the building department.
Okay,
Now that they have it, they can get their food and their liquor.
okay. Does it, yeah,
Closed for a while.
hmm,
Yeah,
yeah,
I've
because this
heard
is
on
the work
Facebook they were
acknowledgement
closed.
for all the. Looks like a new sprinkler system, et cetera. Donut Star. Anybody want some breakfast?
What's the address of that? I'm not
What-
familiar with.
Worcester Street?
Oh, okay.
Star Donut, Donut
yeah.
Star?
Near Grafton Pizza.
Yep. Stop and Shop.
Is there a permit for Marty? What else is there?
What's that?
I was wondering what else there was in the other stack there. Ooh. Pieces and parts of,
Yeah. Oh,
did we already do Wong's?
We did do Wong's, yes.
That's what I thought. Right here, actually, the first. Stick the rest of this as both for Wong's. Yeah, okay.
Oh,
For
somebody's
our regular
menu.
scheduled piling.
First Bite Cafe.
It's down South Grafton, the old Stephanie's, breakfast at Stephanie's.
I think it's pretty new, right? Did it
Yeah.
just open?
Oh, yep,
The
right
old
there.
Trek.
Yep. These are all food.
I was like, there's no way we're done with food. 'Cause
No, I
Nancy
know.
said when I got in that the food were ready to go, and I'm like, that's not all the food.
Grafton
no way.
Children's Daycare and Preschool.
There's no way, not with schools and everything. I mean, I know we did a small chunk of them last week, but not.
There's still some left.
Well, if the computer actually functioned correctly.
That could be the waste of time.
That's too bad. Elms Cafe. It's the caterer up at Tufts.
Oh, yeah.
Their CPR, both of them would have expired this week. January 10th, 2018, right, to January 10th, 2020. So they both will have expired this week. So if you can just check on that. Lake Ripple. Extra Mart.
I was like, Lake Ripple's back?
Extra Mart.
Like, I didn't know they were coming back, and where are they going? Cancun's isn't leaving, is it? Also shows my age.
Apple Tree Arts.
There's plenty of people in this town, I have no clue what I was just talking about.
Union Congregational Church. Brigham Hill Community Barn.
riveting television coverage.
Mm-hmm. We're already as lively as it is, let alone when it's permit season, signing season.
Oh, same thing. Brigham Hill Community Barn, looks like their CPR must have been done by the same person at the same time. Because it was the same date, they must have all went.
Yeah, someone
Village
held a-
Dairy.
Someone held a class.
Mm-hmm. Village Dairy, liability insurance is expiring January 1st. So, I should say, did expire on January 1st. You Inc. Grafton House. Also their liability.
So Nancy, you'll hold back these few that we're mentioning, right, until we
Yeah.
get that paperwork?
You know, the thing is, a lot of them submit their paperwork in December,
Yeah,
when
so
it is still effective.
Technically, at the time.
So they
it's
probably, right.
effective.
Willard Clock Museum.
Flipping 'em.
Delisle Goulet, American Legion Post. Oh, same CPR.
Local CPR runs.
They have the class there.
So they may have just had one. I mean,
Yeah, they could have already had it.
they could have already had it and
since-
just not gotten their certificates, because it was they're all the same, January 10th. And it looks like it's the same person who did it, so my guess is they've probably all just renewed or in the process of renewing. First Bite Cafe. So you said that's the one down in South Grafton? I
Yeah,
don't know
the
that
old
one.
Trek Stop building,
Oh, okay.
the old breakfast at Stephanie's location.
I'll have to check that one out. Subway. Grafton Country Store. Oh, got all those ice creams. Crescent Manor Rest Home, that's what we were thinking of the other day.
Yep.
Crescent Manor.
Yep.
During the drill, we were talking about, if we had any nursing homes
Yeah.
or rest homes, and none of us could remember the name.
We knew where, we're all like,
We knew
Pigeon Hill,
where,
Pigeon
yeah.
Hill, but none of us could think of the actual name at the time.
That's the only facility in town, right? Yes.
Yeah, anymore, I mean,
Because we were talking about during the drill, ways to limit some of the people coming. And we had talked about getting vaccines and actually delivering them there and letting their staff
because they have medical staff.
administer. Yep. Metro West, Early Learning Center.
Is that at the old Keith Hill Nursing Home?
I don't know.
Sure. What's that called?
Grafton Inn. Making me hungry.
I know.
seeing all these menus. Menus and cocktails. Zia's Kitchen Table. What about the mobile hot dog
dog
stand?
First
Best in show.
Best in show.
Best in show,
Yeah,
when she opens.
Yeah.
Sheeta, okay,
Yeah, same thing with radishes, right?
okay. Townhouse Tavern. Sydney's name's on everything. Pepperoni Express. Have you received the applications from everybody?
Yes,
That's a win.
except some of these seasonal.
Well,
ones.
obviously,
Right.
yeah, that's totally fine.
Rick's Hilltop. You don't realize how many food establishments there are in town.
Yeah, I always forget that's even in Grafton. We're so close to the line there.
Well, and if you don't do this, people don't realize, like CVS,
Mm-hmm.
you know, any place that sells the packaged stuff, they're still selling food.
King Jade 2.
You still need permits, just not like permit, you know, it's not the same level as someone preparing food.
Grafton Pizza. I'm really getting hungry.
I know, I haven't had supper yet.
I think that is the end of the food.
Yeah.
Next, we have solid waste. E.L. Harvey.
Sort of abbreviate her last name there.
Yeah. So I keep saying we need a stamp. By the time all is said and done, I'm just like,
Yeah, right.
Republic Services. Oh, do we want to take this? I don't think we probably need that. Triano Trucking. WM of Mass.
Waste management.
I guess.
Good is gone.
John's, just saying.
Mm-hmm.
Still one of my faves. John's.
think that's it. Okay.
For now.
Oh, here we go. We all got our, did you all get the December updates? I think that was from, yep.
Yep.
And we all got the electronic version of the Greater Worcester 2017 High School and Middle School Regional Youth Health Survey.
Yep.
We already talked about the tobacco. New Tufts membership roster as of November 2019, which makes me think of the IBC rep.
So,
Is Yvonne Prue, effective November 1st.
That's one of them.
But now we still have one more open slot, correct?
Colleen, I think it was.
Yep, that's filling in.
Filling in, yes.
Is that something that gets advertised, or who reaches out?
It's the select board.
The select board is,
Can you remind them, Nancy, about that? Please.
mail from Jewel.
Oh, okay.
For on-site consumption of menthol flavors. I think we have to follow the state.
Well, at this point, it's a federal issue.
Right.
And the state puts with the whole menthol mint side of the world and the tobacco taste. That could be the state. Spread the
that
love.
one?
Yeah.
Yeah.
To the Board of Health, attention Nancy, this letter is to inform you that the Nursing Association meeting on Wednesday, December 12th, 2019, we voted to grant you the sum of not more than $500 to continue the SHARPS program. Obviously, this is directed to the Board of Health. We feel this is a worthwhile endeavor and will help keep the residences of the town of Grafton. Will help the residents, I guess. If we can be of further assistance in the future, please do not hesitate to contact us. Sincerely, Doris Mativier, Treasurer, Grafton Nursing Association.
Nancy, is that amount enough?
Every December and June,
Okay.
Twice a
we
year.
ask for
Yeah.
money. That's to purchase the shops containers that we give out to the residents.
That's the enforcement.
They
Yeah.
automatically pay pickup.
What's this?
When the bill comes to me, I give it to.
Pretty sure that's
In addition to.
In addition to them buying the containers? Okay. And do you feel you have enough containers?
Yes, I just
Yes.
bought 250.
Okay. So you don't run out, you have enough for whoever needs them?
Well, thank you for the continued support
Right.
to the Community Nursing Association.
Something a little hard.
Thank you.
Yep.
And we have a Mass DEP enforcement conference notice that we got copied on regarding Troyano Trucking. And then, I'm not gonna read the whole thing, 'cause it's multiple pages, but 2019 annual report from Tufts regarding their, obviously the Grafton biological safety permit in their facilities, and any updates, et cetera. So, anyone wants to do any light reading?
No.
All right.
That is all the mail. That is all I have.
All right.
I'd like to make a motion to adjourn.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.